So back in March, I finally got around to playing the remastered version of Battle for Bikini Bottom. And while I was about to buy the game, I noticed the publisher of the game was THQ Nordic, instead of just THQ. I've never heard of Nordic before, and I wanted to find out why these two companies merged together. And that's when I found out that THQ actually went bankrupt all the way back in 2012. THQ was one of the companies of all time, a company whose logo I've seen frequently throughout my childhood. So it was quite shocking to find out that they went bankrupt. I spent a few hours looking into the history of THQ in the hopes to learn about the company and to find a reason why it failed. But before we get into what happened, I would just like to quickly remind you that if you enjoyed the video, to leave a like and subscribe. Cheers. Toys headquarters, usually referred to as THQ, was founded in 1990 by Jack Friedman. I can already hear you say, "Ah yes, Jack Friedman, of course." Who? Jack Friedman was an American businessman that was regarded as one of the most influential entrepreneurs in the toy industry, founding two other companies, LJN Toys, which Jack left in order to create THQ, and later Jakks Pacific, which was founded after his departure in 1995. Jack left THQ as he moved on from making toys, going all in on games development in 1994 instead. In interviews, it was said that Jack started to feel uncomfortable with video games as they began to become more technologically advanced. Today, video games can be seen as a work of art, enjoyable for anyone at any age, but during the 1990s, they were often seen as small distractions and toys for young children. Jack is a low-tech kind of guy, which is why he grew frustrated with the company and left. Shortly after Jack's departure, THQ signed a deal with EA, where THQ would make games for handheld consoles and for them to be published by EA. From that point onward, THQ would acquire multiple studios throughout the next few years, developing and publishing dozens of games for each year. The 2000s was the peak era for THQ. They would sign a major deal with Fox Interactive, getting a chance to port over the greatest platformer of all time, Croc, onto the Game Boy, along with a few other games. They kept their hot streak as a few months later, they struck a deal with Nickelodeon, along with other big shot companies such as Microsoft and Disney. During this era, THQ would produce and publish cult classics such as SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, Cars, Monsters Inc., Destroy All Humans, Psychonauts, Dynasty Warriors, Conker's Bad Fur Day, WWE, and Saints Row. Hell, they even published League of Legends at one point. Just look at this disc. In 2008, THQ peaked at $1 billion of annual revenue, and they seemed unstoppable. So what happened? A big piece of information which I specifically didn't mention until now are the finances. So remember how I said that THQ made $1 billion in a single year about 15 seconds ago? Well, $960 million of those dollars went back into the company, leaving only a little over $40 million in profit. From the very beginning, THQ was losing money, with this also being one of Jack Friedman's reasons for leaving the company. As THQ grew, so did their finances, as they would frequently buy multiple studios each year. After THQ peaked, they started to consistently operate at a loss. They devised a plan to cut a big portion of annual costs, but to no avail, as they simply didn't make as much revenue as their peak. Their hit games, such as Saints Row, Metro, and Warhammer, did not sell as many copies as they would have hoped. And a bad stigma formed around movie and cartoon tie-in video games, which would also lead to less sales. What didn't help was the rise of free-to-play online games, such as Club Penguin, Toontown, Bin Weevils, and Moshi Monsters. With all these reasons in mind, THQ would quickly begin to release or sell the studios, which they bought throughout the years. But they did devise many other business strategies, like changing their logo, and in 2011, a drawing tablet for 7th generation consoles. The U-Draw tablet failed greatly, resulting in the company losing $100 million, potentially being the straw that broke the camel's back. They counted on the U-Draw pad being a success, so much to the point where they had to sell their UFC license to EA, and had to borrow an extra $50 million from different companies to stay afloat. Not even a month after this, THQ organized a fundraiser with Humble Bundle. The Humble Bundle didn't go as planned. Despite raising $5 million, THQ filed for bankruptcy at the end of 2012 and ended up bidding away most of their remaining teams and titles for a whopping $72 million total. Ubisoft and Sega were some of the biggest companies at the auction, with them buying THQ Montreal and Relic Entertainment respectively. For context, THQ Montreal was responsible for series such as Tom Clancy, Prince of Persia, and later Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. And Relic Entertainment made Warhammer 40k and Company of Heroes franchises. All the remaining IPs were later acquired by Nordic, along with the right to use their name, which eventually resulted in the new name, THQ Nordic, which is where THQ stands today. For the most part, they've been doing their own thing. THQ Nordic are currently having a huge Steam sale until August 30th, which is also the release date for Destroy All Humans 2. So if you have ever wanted to get into their games, now is the time. With great choices like Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, Destroy All Humans, and Biomutant, you're in for a great time. The company has been quite inoffensive, except for that one part where the CEO decided to host an Ask Me Anything session on 8chan. THQ went bankrupt because they were not able to adapt to the new market at the time. Rather than focusing on free-to-play games or mobile games, they stuck with releasing casual games for consoles. The large investment in the U-Draw pads was a huge gamble and didn't pay off. I mean, hindsight is 2020, but a drawing tablet? The big titles such as Saints Row and Metro also didn't sell as many copies as they would have liked, despite them being received and reviewed very well. In my opinion, THQ failed as a business because of their bad decision making and management, failing to adapt to the modern market. There were a lot of opportunities to pull out of their financial troubles, but their constant desire to grow ended up costing the entire company after reaching their peak. Well, if you enjoyed this video, then I'll remind you again to like and subscribe. On the left you'll have my most recent upload, and on the right there will be a Pokemon challenge. Specifically a Pokemon Hard Gold run, where I only use a Vulpix. Here's a fun fact about the video. It was my most viewed video before the negative review series came out. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Cheers.